Oh, look, you sent your mail with a commemorative Chuck Todd postage stamp. How thoughtful.
We see parents who dream big, of honor students and artists. By supporting programs that help children learn, we help parents watch their dreams come true.
From the Watergate Building in Washington, this is Hotline TV. Now, here's Hotline editor John Mercurio.
Okay, viewers, it's Hotline TV. It's time to answer your mail. Once again, we have been humbled by the number of letters that we've received from all of our fans, our viewers. We don't have time today to read all those letters. We're just going to be able to read a few.
Okay.
Here to join me in reading these, Amy Walter. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's start with this one. Would you like to read the first one, Amy Walter?
Dear Hotline TV, I never felt like I was part of the best political team on television. No one ever did a 360 over me. And there are a number of broken borders. No thanks to Lou. Do you think I'll find acceptance at a fledgling news organization? Love, Jay Greenfield in Atlanta. I wonder if that's...
I don't know who, I can't say for sure who that is, but it does remind me of a big story this week, which was that Jeff Greenfield of CNN fame, who's been at CNN for more than a decade, leaving to go to CBS. A big loss for CNN, frankly. He does fill
I think
niche.
he does. He fills a very big niche, which it's the historical, his ability to sort of go back beyond just the last election cycle.
They've lost now Bruce Morton and Jeff Greenfield, I think, who have given them, who gave them, I think,
perspective.
Yeah, perspective and breadth and everything.
Yep.
And Greenfield, it's sort of curious in a way, going to a network that actually seems to have a wealth of that. You know, actually, that's where Bruce Morton came from, CBS, to when he went to CNN. But you know, I think of CBS, and I can think of a couple of correspondents who fill that niche already. Whether it's somebody like Andy Rooney's actually a bad example, but that same sort of sort of broader perspective that you get. Although I think he's going to be doing a lot of work on 60 Minutes, which should be good for him. Right.
No, that's a totally different animal than working in sort of daily, cable network kind of news. But what I enjoyed about watching him, especially on election night, was the fact that he was able not only to go back in time and give us some good perspective on it, but was also kept up with modern times. Right, that happens sometimes too. There's folks who are so caught in the past that they forget to actually pay attention to what's happening.
All right, let's move.
We'll move forward. We can.
Dear Hotline TV, are you reporting how safe Iraq is? Because I'm here now wearing a blue and white checkered shirt, and I feel so freaking safe. The progress being made here is so awesome. I was in Baghdad city center today, and all I could think was, man, it's like so safe here. Please let your viewers know. Love always, John M. from Tempe, Arizona. Well, thanks for writing, John.
Yeah.
You are there this week, and you obviously have a lot riding on the fact that there will be improvements in Baghdad and in Iraq over the next year or so. I'm reminded of Michael Ware for some reason, of CNN fame, but you don't have to go there.
We'll stop that for a second, because then I'm going to go into my crocodile hunter accent. And
talk like a pirate.
Never talk like a pirate. But here's the reality. I mean, I think we've reached a point right now among voters that everybody's sort of made up their mind on Iraq, right? I mean, you either are still hanging with the president and hanging with the views here of Senator McCain, where he says things can or will get better, or yes, where the signs are there and let's keep going forward, or you've tuned it out. And folks, there are very few people, I think, that are fluid enough to be able to go between one or the other. They've sort of made up their mind now.
I would almost say that there's a TiVoization of the Iraq War. Yes, in fact, if you'll follow me along with this concept, basically it's people just sort of thinking that they can now fast forward, or they'd like to fast forward their way through the rest of the war. But go on, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Yes.
Yeah, TiVoization. Think about that.
Started here.
Go ahead.
But
I interrupt.
Yes, you did. Now you've got me totally
flustered. And I know.
So here's the reality. If you're an average American, you're watching television, you're listening to the news, you see the same stories on Iraq that you've seen for the last 2 years, where it looks like there's still violence, there's still things getting blown up, there's still Americans being killed over there. At some point, you can talk a lot about what things are getting safer or they're not, until there is tangible evidence of that, either in the number of American soldiers who are being killed, the number of Iraqis who are being killed. I think it's going to be very hard to make that case.
Well, I think he's doing what he has to do.
Absolutely.
He's so connected to the Iraq War, to progress in Iraq, to the troop surge in his presidential campaign, the most connected of any of these presidential candidates, that he has to make the case for progress in Iraq, or else just sort of give up on his presidential campaign. The problem is that it's risky because you don't want to appear, as you were saying, sort of out of touch and detached from what Americans are seeing on their televisions every day. And in doing that, you can actually, I think, do more harm to yourself.
Right, but as we know, things change very quickly, and look, if in the end we're here a year from now and we're talking about a very different Iraq, then
we'll have a
different story,
HotlineTV
won't we?
segment.
And you will still be wearing that blue checkered shirt because you'll have to
John
say something about that.
We're shopping buddies.
All right, John and Amy, I'm worried I'm going to lose the game of first quarter fundraising expectations. Everybody thought I'd have a lot of money because I'm a big Senate chairman with ties to the banking industry. And as former DNC chair, I'm supposed to have lots of friends in the party.
Indeed, indeed.
But I was outperformed by a small state governor.
Ouch.
What do I do now?
Hurt. Who was that from? I wouldn't
you don't know? Yeah, it's someone in Connecticut, D. Dodd.
C.
Dodd?
Dottie Dodd?
Dodd.
C. Dodd.
From
C. Dodd.
Connecticut, yeah.
Yeah, ouch. I thought those numbers, I think a lot of the buzz, he, of anybody, Chris Dodd, the senator running for president, really lost the expectations game. Second-tier Democratic candidate, so it's not being as closely watched, but I think a lot of surprise that he wasn't able to outraise Bill Richardson, who's got a pretty extensive Rolodex from Washington.
He's not sitting on the bank, he's not the chairman of the banking committee, and that was always, when you listen to folks who supportive of Dodd say what you will, he's not going to be as flashy, but and he's not going to be able to get the press that Obama and Clinton get, but let's face it, the guy has access to big donors.
Right, he would be up there. He would have.
In fact, the story was just written today, and the Hartford Courant was still the storyline today was he's the guy who's going to be able to raise the money.
And the LA Times had a story over the weekend about how people are committed to Dodd in a way that they aren't committed to a lot of these other candidates. But if you take that on the flip side, I think it's actually more relevant to look at the fact that Richardson actually probably did a pretty good job for a second-tier candidate, for someone who basically walks around telling everybody that he's a second-tier candidate. Last week he basically said, I know if you're supporting Hillary Clinton, make me your second choice. That is the definition of being a second-tier presidential candidate, begging people to make you their second choice. The fact that he was able to outraise Dodd, outraise Biden, and do relatively well as a small state governor, I think is a pretty good sign that he's on the ascendancy. We'll see.
It also suggests for those folks who say you inside the Beltway people are so obsessed with with who you are that you don't understand what goes on. I hate those inside the Beltway people. You don't understand what's going on in the real world. Certainly for Bill Richardson to be able to say, look, there's a whole universe of folks out there that I can connect with precisely because I don't sit inside the Beltway.
Correctamundo.
Anyway.
All right, thanks so much for writing, you guys. We enjoyed that segment. We always enjoy hearing from you, so send your letters to HotlineTV. That'll do it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Amy Walter, once again.
I love the shirt.
I love your shirt.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time on HotlineTV.